Well, I think our guys just show a lot of character and their perseverance to continue competing, and it's one of the. It's a little bit, I don't know, kind of a surreal win. But I thought we were unselfish and we just competed, and eventually caught some breaks, and obviously DJ had that stretch there where he put us on his back and just made all kinds of plays, and I thought just lifted the group. But even prior to that, we started to defend at a higher level, which is not always as easy as people think, particularly when a team is, certainly you feel like there's more we could do in the first half, but where they're making 67% of their threes, that it's easy to have that deflate you into, the thing that's really terrific is that you go into halftime and you came out of halftime, and we didn't let that happen.
I'm just kind of curious, what do you say to your team at halftime when they're down 21 points?
The NBA is funny in that I think more than being down, we were just struggling to get stops. And that's what we talked about, let's get some stops and be able to get out and transition. McDaniels defensively is unique, and he can impact the game. That his length made it hard for us offensively in the half court, as did their size. So I think for us to come back, it was all about trying to get some stops and get back in the game that way. And that was the message from a tactical standpoint, which isn't very tactical. And then, just hang in there. As I was saying, the 20-point leads in the NBA, I mean, this was a unique game, obviously, but you just always have to keep, whether you're ahead or behind, you just have to keep playing.
Coach, a moment ago in your opening statement, you mentioned DeJounte briefly, but this may have been his best game so far as a member of the Hawks. 22 points in that third quarter. The Timberwolves only scored 19 in that quarter. Did you see something in him coming out of half that kind of showed he would have that performance? And were you calling plays for him, or was it kind of just him freestyling and going with the hot hand?
I think that's who he is. He's a competitive guy. And, he was attacking in the open court. He scored at three levels. He got to the rim. He got to his mid-range, and he also shot threes, which, that says a lot about, I think, what he's doing as a player offensively. But I think it was his spirit as much as anything that, that lifted our group. And, we were, you'd be crazy not to try to call some plays for him. I thought maybe a unique thing about the game was when they changed matchups, DeJounte got off it and gave it to Trey, which is, usually when you're having the game that DeJounte was having, you want to keep going. And, that says a lot. That's the unselfishness that I was talking about, in addition to the team that just competed at a high level.
Coach, can you speak on the amount of effort and energy that it took to make this comeback, especially on the back of a doubleheader, and what you saw from your guys?
Yeah, I mean, superlatives, right? It's not easy to do, and particularly when not easy to, on back-to-backs are hard, but there's a switch in your head where you're going to be tired at various times. You're going to be on back-to-backs, and if you want to hang on to those things as a reason to not be able to play at a high level, you certainly can. And I think people understand that, but they didn't want to pass on this game. They didn't want to pass. They wanted to compete.
Coach, obviously they shot lights out first half. As you weather that storm and get into the second half, and counting last night as well, are you seeing more and more what you're hoping to build with your collective defense? Are you seeing that chemistry start to come in spurts more than perhaps the first couple of games? Are you starting to see it come together a little bit?
I've seen us execute the things we've been talking about since the first day of training camp. And, the first couple games we didn't, not at as high a level. Tonight we did in the first half, and we did the second half. So, the key is, I think, in all those situations you're referring to, one, I think our group knows that they need each other. And the second thing is you're not going to be perfect, but, how you react to situations where you have breakdowns, and can you get to the next play? And that was on display tonight, our ability to get to the next play, when something didn't go the way we wanted to.
Anthony Edwards came out hot, obviously slowed down the second half. How would you evaluate DeJounte's defense on him?
Well, let me say, Anthony Edwards is just a terrific player, and you could see that. Obviously, we had a few times where he was able to get out in transition where he's difficult to stop, but he was hitting some really tough shots. And yeah, I think that was part of DeJounte's night. The stat sheet says he had 41 points, but defensively, as I said, anytime you see players, up on the ball, working, competing, I think it's inspirational to the guys behind them, and that it picks your level up because you don't want to let that guy down. And you could feel him, on both ends of the floor. Thanks, Coach. Okay.